Hello and welcome to a 45-minute Tai Chi class. This will feature sequences that we have covered over the past 5 months in our free Tai Chi in the Park class up at Alexandra Park Sports Hub. So let's get into our shoulders width stances with our soft knees, our shoulders down and relaxed, our arms just hanging at our sides for the moment. And let's remember that thread at the crown of our heads, pulling us up. So all we're going to do to begin with is start to shift our weight from one side of our bodies into the other. This is a slow movement, and it's a simple movement, but it underpins almost everything we do in Tai Chi. And this is the point at which Tai Chi starts to work its magic. Because what we're doing now is slowing everything down. And as soon as we start to slow our movements down, like we're doing right now, our busy, overactive brain starts to slow down as well, in a good way. We'll get a bit more clarity of thought, a bit more focus. And as soon as we start to slow our movements down, our breathing begins to slow down as well. We'll maybe find ourselves taking fewer breaths, but they're going to be better breaths, deeper and more even. And as soon as we start to slow our movements down, our heart rate begins to slow down as well. That big muscle that beats every moment of our lives starts to beat just a little bit more slowly. And all that happens by itself. Brain starts to focus in on what's happening right here, right now, in this moment. Breathing becomes easier and deeper. Heart rate literally lowers. All that happens by itself as soon as we slow our movements down. So let's enjoy for a few moments what it feels like to move at this speed. We can perhaps visualize our weight as it shifts from one side of our body into the other. Visualize it like a liquid, surging up one leg across our hips and down through the other leg and out through the sole of that foot into the ground. Then surging back up again, across our hips and down, through the opposite leg and out through the sole of that foot. We're sending down our roots. We're standing tall, we're standing strong, and we're aware of our weight shifting from one side of our bodies into the other. And as we do this, remember the shoulders are down, arms are just hanging from those shoulders. Our hands are just hanging from our wrists, and our fingers are just hanging from those hands. Arms are totally relaxed as we shift our weight from one side of our bodies into the other. So let's start to build on this a little. And as we shift our weight into one leg, we're going to leave it there and just turn out on the opposite heel, bringing those toes up and enjoying the nice calf stretch. Then pivoting back to centre on that heel, and for a moment, there's our weight 50-50 between both legs before we shift it into the other leg and turn out on that opposite heel. So again, keeping it slow, keeping it smooth. And as we turn out on that heel, notice we can turn our waists as well, so if that's comfortable for you, get your waist round and back to centre. Slow and easy. And as we turn out on our heel and turn our waist, maybe our shoulders can turn as well, so if it's comfortable for you, maybe encourage your shoulders round. And as we turn out on our heel, turning our waists and our shoulders, maybe our neck can turn as well. And our head, so if that's comfortable, have a go at that. And as we do this, we notice we can see almost 360 degrees around ourselves. And we're not really moving our feet at all. We're just sinking our weight, leaving it in one leg and turning out on the opposite heel. Let's do it one more time each side for luck. Feel the weight sinking down into the ground before you turn out on that heel. And we're remembering the thread at the crown of our heads, helping us stand tall and stand strong. So for the final time, we pivot on that heel, back round to centre, and we return to our shoulders width stance, our horse stance, knees soft, shoulders down, arms just hanging at our sides, and that thread at the crown of our heads, pulling us up. At any point, if you want a drink, do feel free to go and have one. So in our shoulders width stance, we're just going to allow our arms to float up in front of ourselves, no higher than shoulder height. And we're going to keep going with the weight shifting. But as we shift our weight into one leg, we're going to reach out with the opposite hand. And then we're just going to switch them over. So if your weight's in your right leg, you're reaching out with your left hand. And if your weight's in your left leg, you're stretching out with your right hand. This is what Tai Chi proves. It's as much of a workout for the brain as for the body. Because two halves of us are doing two opposite things, moving in two different directions. So backs are straight, heads up. And there is a bit of a stretch here, remember? So we're thinking about the tip of our middle finger, that's our longest finger. And we're stretching out with that middle finger into space, trying to touch a wall that's just beyond our reach. And because this is Yang style Tai Chi, as the elbow comes back, it stays up. There's various schools of Tai Chi. The one we are doing is Yang. They're very big on the elbows, staying up. So shoulders down, elbows up, and the weight shifting always there, flowing from one side of our bodies into the other. So let's bring our weight back to 50-50 and slowly allow our arms to make their way back down to where they started, at our sides. Let's check we're still in our shoulders width stance, check our knees are still soft, check the thread at the crown of our heads is still there, pulling us up. So we're going to allow our arms just to float back up again. And all we're going to do now is pull back our fingertips and bend our knees. So arms are slightly bent and fingertips, if possible, are pointing directly up. And relax. Second time. Pulling back the fingertips, bending the knees, keeping the back straight, remembering the thread at the crown of our heads, and relax. Tai Chi does everything in threes, or multiples of three, so this will be our last time for this sequence. So this time, arms floating up. As we pull back our fingertips and bend our knees, we're going to think about the soles of our feet and the undersides of our toes, the undersides of our big toes, our second biggest toes, our third biggest toes, visualize them in your mind, second smallest toe, and tiniest toe, all 10 toes pushing down into the ground. The sole of our feet is pushing down into the ground. The flat of our heel is pushing down into the ground. So every part of the soles of our feet that can make contact with the ground is pushing down into it. And at the same time, the thread at the crown of our heads is pulling us up. So we're pushing down with the soles of our feet, we're pushing out with the palms of our hands, and we're lifting up. A lovely three-way stretch here, and we're going to hold it for 3, 2, 1. Now just allow our arms to slowly make our way down, back to our sides where they started. If you're doing a Tai Chi indoors, maybe have a glance around yourself, make sure you're not going to knock any furniture over, because we're going to be doing the same thing, but out to the side. Imagine you've got a broom handle through the sleeves of your top. And we're just shifting the weight. Arms coming directly out from shoulders. And shoulders are down and relaxed as always. We want to engage the all-important triceps here. And we can turn our heads to look along our arm, past our wrist, past our knuckles, to the very tip of our middle finger. That's that longest finger again. And that's where our eyes are. Lovely, slow, smooth movement. So we're telling our shoulders to stay down. We're telling our arms to stay up. Just a couple more. Keep going. Relax the shoulders. Remember your thread. Think about your weight shifting. One final time. Let's make it a really good one. And now we're going to bring our weight back to 50-50 and slowly, really slowly, let our arms return to their place at our sides. And we can check that we're still in our shoulders width stance. We can check our knees are still soft. We can check our shoulders are still down. And we can remember the thread at the crown of our heads, always there, pulling us up. So let's have our arms back out again. And as we did before, we're just going to pull our fingertips back and bend our knees. We get a lovely stretch across our chests as we do this. So let's enjoy that and relax. Second time. The arms are just drifting up. Shoulders are motionless. And then right at the end, pulling back those fingertips and bending our knees, remembering our arms are slightly bent and the fingertips, if possible, are pointing straight up. And relax. Final time. And as before, we will be holding it for a few seconds longer. So this time, as we pull back our fingertips and bend our knees, we're going to think about our spines. One of the most important parts of our bodies. We're going to think about where the spine starts, the base of the spine, at the bottom of our back. And we're going to visualize our spine as it travels up our back, past our shoulder blades, up our neck and into our brain. And we're going to visualize our vertebrae. And we're going to visualize the spaces between our vertebrae. And they're getting bigger. So the spine's lengthening. We're growing. The thread at the crown of our heads is pulling us up. We're pushing down with the soles of our feet. We're pushing out with the palms of our hands. And we're lifting up with the thread at the crown of our heads. So just a few seconds longer. 3, 2, hold it. 1, well done. Now the slowest you've ever moved. Fingers are just dissolving. Wrists are melting. Forearms slowly descending. Arms in general making their way back down to our sides. And we're back in our shoulders width stance with our soft knees, shoulders down, arms just dangling, and the thread at the crown of our heads pulling us up.